Hey everyone, Joe here. For the entire month of June, new patrons can get 50% off the first month of the Legion of the Old Crow tier on our Patreon. So if you're a new listener, an old friend, or maybe someone who's just been curious about what kind of fun we're having over on Patreon, you can check out our entire back catalog from the past 8 years, all for the price of a crisp white monster. So for the whole month of June, use code DONK50 on Patreon to get 50% off your first month. To the crack of rifles and the acrid stench of sorcery, a sudden invasion sweeps through the highlands of the Confederation, and Sayat's peaceful village life breaks with the dawn. A sole survivor amidst the smoking ruins of all that he held dear, Sayat must make a choice. Is pursuing revenge against the mercenaries that took everything from him worth becoming one himself? As his escape pushes him into the gruff embrace of the Foundlings Brigade, he must learn to tread a path between his need to understand why his people were targeted for destruction and the new responsibility of his soldier's life, even as each new encounter with the horrors of battle force him to confront the terrible cost of his oath. Before long, the shifting fog of war casts old certainties into a haze of doubt, while the stuff of legend seems clear as day, and Sayat finds himself drawn into a much larger conflict that he could possibly imagine. My debut fantasy novel, The Highlands Burn, is now out on ebook, audiobook, and paperback. Much like our podcast, this book is a totally independent production, and I hope you'll give it a try. As always, you can find the links where you can get it in the show notes below. Hello, and welcome to the Lions Led by Donkeys podcast, the only military history podcast in the entire world. I'm Joe, and with me is Tom and special guests, Gregory Foley of Bloodwork. How's everybody doing?
So, welcome to the Afternoon Zoo crew. We've got air horns. We've got... I'm not going to do the effects.
Don't do the effects. That's a slippery slope.
But number one on the agenda, Gregk. What does the K stand for?
Oh, God. It's nothing interesting, but just to let people know, I am not Polish. I'm incredibly up.
The K is silent like the G in lasagna.
Yeah, I do it just to keep people on their toes.
It's because he's a real G who moves silent like the G in lasagna.
Yeah, I'm not a G. I move incredibly loudly like the K in lasagna.
I also move incredibly loudly. I move like the O and O. That's all I got.
That's because you're built like a meaty javelin.
No, but like there was a guy in my secondary school who like I knew as Pablo, and the whole time I was a teenager, I thought his name was Pablo. And then after knowing him for years, I heard someone call him Stephen, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And then someone was like, "Oh yeah, no, his name's Stephen." I was like, "Why is your name Pablo?" And I was like, "Could he join the school and he had a really like olive complexion and massive chin?" And someone said, "Like, who's that fucking?"
So they just named him Pablo.
Some kid just went, "I don't know, Pablo or something." And I'd known him as Pablo for years. And then I had the exact same thing as a teenager, where eventually I was like cornered by some people in my friend group at the time. Went, "We thought you were Polish." I thought your name was actually Gregk.
Gregk.
No, they're like green eyes, freckles, massive fucking head guys. Like, how many clues do you need?
Have you seen my head? Of course I'm Irish.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a plastic paddy, but I'm still a paddy.
Neck the width of a run-flat tire.
Yeah, I'm happy I'm here to continue my London residency for yet another day, another week, another episode. And fellas, I've gathered you here to talk about drones.
Oh boy.
Kind of.
Oh.
Are we talking like FPV drones, or are we talking like a Sun O live concert? Before someone comments, I know it's Sun, that the O is meant to be a symbol, the same as on the amp. I don't care.
Oh, you really know your audience, don't you, Tom?
Yeah.
Seeing how I have no idea what that second thing is, we're going to be talking about regular drones.
Okay.
Boo.
Again, kind of.
Yay.
Drones, once the territory of science fiction writers like myself, now live in the nightmares of your modern day soldiers and civilians, and more often than not these days, your social media feed, because that's the kind of reality we have created for ourselves. But this is a relatively new development in the history of warfare. Well, obviously, drones have been kicking around for quite a long time now. Hell, I had a small company-based drone back when I was in the Army. It sucked. It was unarmed, but we did have it. One of the stories in my book, The Hooligans of Kandahar, talks about how we just kept crashing the fucking thing because it sucked. But what if we told you the development of the first armed drone probably goes back a lot further than you'd think?
Is it going to be, strapping some sort of Icarian wings and a gun to a Prussian?
That would arguably work better.
Okay.
We're talking World War II again.
Oh, okay.
1943, and what would eventually turn into the American Operation Aphrodite. There's also a secondary one, Operation Anvil, but pretty much everybody knows it by Operation Aphrodite. But first, some unmanned aerial context. That one's for you, buddy.
Boo.
You can boo me all you like. I've seen what makes you cheer.
I mean, I'm in the chat just posting trash can emojis repeatedly.
That's fine. That's where I live. I'm Oscar the Grouch of podcasting. It should probably come as no surprise to anybody that the first nation to slap some kind of rudimentary radio control system on a weapon was the Nazis. Nazi pilots and their newly rebirthed Luftwaffe discovered during their time assisting Franco's fascists during the Spanish Civil War that, you know what? Hitting a moving ship from a plane is actually really goddamn hard. Wouldn't it be cool if bombs could somehow guide themselves?
See, this is interesting for me because I understand there are kind of like two strands that you can sort of trace like the development of technology such as drones. And like one of them is this kind of like quasi-humanitarian ideal of like making war less lethal to the individuals fighting it to the extent that you like pursue a form of war which negates the presence or need for humans entirely. And then the other one is the very sort of Nazi fascist form, which is like, how can we make sort of like robot death machines?
I also will posit a third option, which is an insane theory that I saw like maybe about 6 months ago in a thread about like, oh, you know, weird Nazi weapons, and like people were talking about like, oh, did the Nazis get to the moon? And there was one guy who is burned into my brain. He was like, no, the Nazis didn't develop UFOs because UFOs are Jewish technology.
Oh, that's a powerful brain right there.
I mean, that's deep Nazi thinking, is like there are Jews on the moon and that's why we need to get there.
I love the idea they did not invent UFOs.
Yeah.
Like the U stands for unidentified, meaning you don't know where they're from, you fucking idiot.
Yeah, they drew them with their hands behind their back.
Yeah.
So they couldn't see their own drawings.
There had been a guy that was working on this for quite some time, a guy named Max Kramer. Kramer is one of those guys that's the perfect product of his day. And by that, I mean, he just kind of worked on everything. From gliders to cars to proposed missile systems, as well as the science of airflow over bodies and movement.
And don't forget not saying the N-word at the Comedy Store.
I mean,
probably saying the N-word at the Comedy Store.
This specific Kramer, they would have loved it. I mean, we're talking about the Nazis. They're just cheering, say the N-word again. Eventually, he lands at the German Aerospace Laboratory and begins work in 1938 on a system of radio controls that could send short signals to a free-falling bomb and redirect it using adjustable spoilers as it fell through the air. Using a system of low-band radio signals and radio antenna embedded in the tail of the bomb could be dropped, and the pilot and controller who dropped it could then adjust it, assuming they kept the bomb within eyesight below them and controlled it the entire way.
Okay.
If you're thinking that this seems to have a pretty serious flaw, being that the bomber itself is now a sitting duck after dropping it, you would be right. They wouldn't be able to take any evasive maneuvers whatsoever to try to run away from, fighter interceptors or incoming fire if they wanted to control the bomb. Like the second the plane moved after dropping the bomb, all control of the bomb was lost. Eventually, what would become known as the Fritz X was born. It was a 700-pound armor-piercing rudimentary guided bomb. And, they could be guided somewhat. Adjustments could be made, but it's not like a smart bomb. I feel like that's an extra jump in terms. And unlike a lot of seemingly stupid wonder weapons designed by the Nazis, this one was actually quite effective. For a little while, anyway. Slightly over 1,000 of the Fritz X's were built, and they were first deployed in July of 1943. The first deployment was completely fucked up and the pilot hit nothing, but within a few months of fine-tuning, the Fritz X turned into a real motherfucker. When the Nazis turned on their Italian allies, after, of course, the Italians saw the writing on the wall and did what they did best during any world war, change sides, the Nazis went after them. A flight of Fritz X armed bombers hit the Italian Navy and fucked it up. Like, this thing worked. Soon it was turned on the Allied Navy, and much like the meds that some of us are on, it was super effective.
The Italians also tried to make a sort of like proto drone, but out of like pasta, but it didn't work because the soldiers kept eating it.
As the guided gnocchi. The Fritz also wasn't the only radio-guided weapon that the Nazis had rolled out. There was also the HS-293, the first guided anti-ship missile. But the guidance system was somewhat different, and the 293 wasn't armor-piercing. It soon began to drop ships off the coast of Italy. And it doesn't take long for the Allies to figure out that the bombs were being radio-controlled. They, in turn, worked out countermeasures to them, jamming systems like we all know and love today. This didn't work great at first, but then the Allies kind of got a great gift in that they were able to capture several of the bombs intact at Anzio.
Wait, like were they capturing the bombs like midair or?
Yeah, the big old net. No, they invaded Anzio. They were able to construct jamming systems based on the captured designs, which then worked. One of the reasons why the Allies were pretty quick on the uptake when it came to radio-guided bombs was they were working on their own at the same time. This isn't like a technology that the Allies captured from the Nazis and then they're like, oh, this is a really good idea. We should do this. Like they were a parallel invention. Theirs was called the Azon bomb and it was in development since 1942. Rather than using it to target ships, though, their idea was to use it as a form of precision bombing to hit narrow bridges along the Burma Railway. And largely, these bombs worked on these targets selected for them. I should say I'm using the word worked the same way like the Nazis' bombs worked. They hit targets at a higher percentage than their dumb, unguided cousins. But it's not like they were great. But the bomb had obvious limitations, mostly the same ones that the Nazis had. Guiding it required planes to hang out overhead, making them sitting ducks for incoming fire, which is also why they chose specifically to use it on targets that probably weren't going to be well guarded. Also, because of that same system, it meant that each plane could only drop one of the bombs because by the time they were done guiding the first one in, they'd be way out of the target area. So at the same time the Azon was being constructed, the commander of the U.S. Army Air Corps, Henry Harley Arnold, better known as HAP, pitched a new idea. What if we had a radio-controlled bomber, not a bomb, stuffed it full of explosives, thousands of pounds of explosives, and just crash that motherfucker directly into the target?
Ah, American kamikaze.
Exactly.
See, this is a highly evolved version of my previous idea of strapping a bomb to a dog.
Yeah. Yeah. The Soviet Union would have hired you.
They'd get there eventually. I'm still available, guys.
No, the Soviet Union just would have strapped a bomb to a guy.
I've been sitting by that phone for years now, waiting for it to ring, like Goodwill Hunting.
You like borscht? How do you like that borscht? They had plenty of old planes sitting around that could be used for this one-way trip, and they wouldn't have to worry about killing any pilots in the process. You know, hypothetically.
Okay, interesting.
Foreshadowing is a literary device used by writers who give hints or clues about events that happen later in the story.
Fuck off.
Joe's new book is out now. Buy it.
Yeah, if you like stories, buy my book, The Highlands Burn.
Buy the book.
Arnold's idea, despite being admittedly pretty nuts for its day, was accepted almost universally as soon as he pitched it.
I understand that the US military was doing a lot of that kind of thing around that time. Crazy ideas and going, fuck it, go with it.
Yeah.
See you on Cat Island.
We ball.
We
Yeah.
ball.
And the reason for this is pure practicality. The U.S. Army Air Corps at the time, because there was no Air Force yet, was losing a staggering amount of pilots. But they did have a ton of planes. So the goal was we need to kill fewer pilots. We got stocks of old planes we don't need anymore. And possibly this will kill less pilots. Great.
Wait, so they're going to try and use full-sized planes?
Yes. Full bombers.
Sorry, Tom, did you have a better idea?
Maybe a smaller, more nimble, less costly version?
Sorry,
Ridiculous.
you're in the United States and you're suggesting a smaller plane. Sounds gay.
What are you, a communist?
Sounds gay and communist.
You know
which
what?
is the
In
same
fact,
thing.
why don't we build a bigger plane?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's using your noodle.
And I will say, this is like one of the few times in history that I will say like the cost of a bomber is like nothing that the U.S. needs to worry about.
Yeah.
Because this is the era of like hitting the big factory button that says planes go burr.
Yeah.
And then this idea was given to Jimmy Doolittle to take charge, and then he kicks it over to
Come on,
engineers to make this system workable.
Jimmy Doolittle, fake ass name, in the same league as Al Fuck.
Yeah.
I want to point out, they should have had Doolittle training the dogs.
Actually, yeah.
Exactly.
Maybe
Yeah.
it was like a personnel mix-up, and they sent the Swiss guy who was probably better at aeronautics to work on the drone, and Jimmy Doolittle was meant to talk to the dogs.
Maybe William Prestry could speak to the bombers.
Yeah, I do. I hope this episode is coming out after the other one. Otherwise, it's going to be a very confusing.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
If you could speak to a military vehicle, it'd be like the worst power on earth because it's just full of soldiers jerking off all the time.
You're doing JOI for the plane.
When you first mentioned building a bigger plane for this drone project, I just immediately pictured a Humvee with wings.
Not far from it,
With
honestly.
tiny wings. Like a really fat horse.
So the planes used for the program were the ones considered no longer usable for normal combat operations. The term they used for these were, quote, war-weary, or
Yep.
planes that had outlived its service life. That meant they could use the B-17. It was a choice that made a lot of sense given the fact that the U.S. is cranking out B-17s like crazy. The U.S. built 12,000 B-17s, and the service life of a B-17 was thought to be 25 missions.
Yeah, you know, the U.S. military, much like the men that are in its employ, are both very concerned about body count.
1/3 of the planes that were built would survive this estimated combat service life. So that left the U.S. with a lot of planes to either part out or try to figure out what to do with. Owing to the fact that these are meant to be robot kamikazes, the planes were stripped of thousands of pounds of unneeded gear for the new role. Armor was gone, turrets were gone, bomb racks are gone, you don't need those anymore. The planes were stripped down to the most bare bones possible while still technically being able to fly. The only addition, other than the explosives, of course, would be the equipment needed to turn it into a drone. Transmitters for control, and old TV cameras, so crews flying behind the drone in another plane called a mothership would be able to control it from. They didn't use the term drone because it hadn't been quite developed yet. Rather, they used the term baby. You got a mothership and you got a baby ship.
I thought it was so, before the plane, commits mechanical suicide, it can watch whatever the 1940s version of the Ed Sullivan show.
You flip it on, give it one last show.
Yeah.
The operators on the mothership would then guide the baby onto the target.
Like any responsible mother would.
Yeah, exactly. Now let's take a moment to talk about the explosives, because holy shit was this thing powerful. 12,000 pounds of Torpex. Torpex is an explosive normally used in torpedoes, hence its name.
What a name.
And due to its chemical properties, it had 50% more explosive mass than TNT.
Yeah, I suppose it's meant to detonate underwater, so...
Yeah, but what is a drone but a torpedo of the sky?
That's right. You don't expect to get a torpedo back, do you?
It's better than my name of the Sky Pedo.
Unfortunately, back in World War II, American submarines oftentimes actually got their torpedoes back, which led to several problems.
The torpedoes of the sky is just bringing me back to my idea that Armenians are just landlocked Irish people.
It's true. It's true.
I can see it.
They're not allowed in the air or in the sea. They have to be as close to the ground as possible, hence the average height of an Armenian man.
Yeah, that's why I had to be expelled from the country.
You were shot like a meaty javelin into the sky over the border.
Yep. And all the best ones are Catholic. Sorry. I don't mean that. That was a joke.
Yes, you do. Gregk means exactly what he says. You should take him very seriously, whatever he says.
I defer to the more superior Irishman in this conversation.
I would say you're the world's first apostolic hater, but then the entire nation of Turkey exists. So.
Sorry.
So these things were going to be powerful as hell. However, engineers rapidly ran into a pretty serious problem. The plan, as pitched by Hap Arnold, was quite honestly impossible. Owing to technological limits at the time, there was no radio control systems available, nor did they have any idea of how to make one that was accurate enough, powerful enough, and stable enough to control the baby while it taxied on the runway and took off.
Well, that's it then. It means that we can't do the project, and I guess we'll have to call it to an end. There's nothing to discuss any further. So this has been Lines Led by Donkeys. Thanks for listening.
Exactly.
Great. Listen, guys, I'll see you later.
That's when Hap Arnold was like, yeah, you guys make a really good point. Sorry about that.
No, Hap Arnold was like, no, we're going to do this because one day this technology will metamorphosize into, being the foundation for three dickheads in a room talking about my project.
Exactly.
Slamming his fist on the table and saying, gentlemen, I will have my Sky Pedos.
Give me my flying babies.
I refuse to have my grandchildren live in a world without riffs beamed right into their phone.
What's a riff? Your grandkids are going to love them.
Hasn't been invented yet. No matter what they did, the plane just kept losing connection. Not to mention, even if they had a decent one, imagine how hard it would be to control and conduct a takeoff operation using 1940s video cameras that just been kind of tilted down so you could look at all the controls and out the window and then see where you're going from a different plane flying behind it. There's so many points of failure here.
This is, proof that the American military did not, in their technical development, department, did not hire enough perverts, because if you had enough perverts, they would have totally figured out how to make a wireless camera work.
That's true. Now, this is normally kind of like Gregk joked, where a plan dies, but not this one.
Oh.
Arnold, Doolittle, and the engineers once again got together and they tried to figure out how to fix this little problem. You guys can probably already pick up where this is going, right?
If I could walk with the animals, talk to the animals.
They put people inside the plane.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's just like, all these like AI assistants or whatever. It's like, yeah, maybe it's a machine, maybe it's a guy in Guatemala.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm picturing one guy on the plane sat at the radio desk being like, this is great. And then be like, wait, hold on a minute. Where are all the other guys? Shut up, and the door slams.
To their credit, when they came up with the idea of like, we're going to have at least 2 people in each flight, they wouldn't force anybody to do it, and they would have to be volunteers, a pilot and an engineer. Now the plan changed to account for the fact there are now living folks packed inside of the flying bomb as well.
Sat next to 12,000 pounds of Torpex.
Yep.
Yeah, America.
Like right behind them.
America just inadvertently invented, the Warhammer Dreadnought. It's like, what if we strap one unlucky soldier who is like technically willing because they're committing burger jihad against the East into a death machine?
We have to graft a pilot's soul to the B-17.
I think it's actually larger than that. I think that the United States military just invented 9/11.
Actually, hold that thought, kind of.
Cool.
Because we almost accidentally did that to several British villages, but we'll get there.
Oh, great. I hope we do.
The crew would control the plane on the ground, take off, get to an altitude of 2,000 feet, go back, arm the bomb and the remote controls, and then jump out of the plane. Something made easier by a safety feature they decided to include, which was just removing the canopy so you could jump straight out.
The get the fuck out button.
Well, there was no button. There was just no canopy now.
Yeah, it's like, listen, that'll shave 900 grams, or I suppose we don't use metric because we're, land of the free. It's like, this will shave like however many ounces, get it out. You can jump out the back.
Because like before, a pilot would have to walk back to a door that's in the middle of the plane to jump out. The idea was now now you can just get up from your seat and whoop right out the top.
I don't think it works that way though, surely.
Sometimes.
Okay.
Notice how I said sometimes.
Good thing about having 12,000 of these planes is there's lots of opportunity for trial and error.
That's right.
Send more volunteers.
They put the door in the wrong place and the pilot jumps out and goes straight into the engine.
Right into the propellers.
It's like, they'll never know this was a failure. All the pilots are dead.
And as we've kind of established, there's never any shortage for volunteers for any weird-ass military project.
Yes.
Then after this process is done, the pilots jump out, then the mothership following behind would take over flying and conduct the operation. Even with this new setup, the project was, let's say, not exactly putting up dubs. The radio transmission system they were using was a modified version of the same one used in the Azon bombs. Now this plane is moving faster, it has more moving parts, and significantly more points of failure than the bomb ever did. Pretty soon after the system was implemented, they began running into a few problems. During the first test run, based out of the Royal Air Force Base at Fursfield, I'm sure I pronounced that wrong because England town names and all, the pilots took the plane up to where they needed to go, passed controls over to the mothership, and then safely jumped out. However, as the mothership was piloting the drone, they lost connection. It just dropped, like, you're using T-Mobile or something. The drone plummeted to the ground and exploded outside the town of Orford.
By drone, just to be clear at this point, you mean plane?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
And it was packing 12,000 pounds of Torpex.
Oh, yeah, I mean, you got to find out what happens.
Exactly.
Cool.
Listen, something could have gone wrong and we could have gotten the good result of Wigan being completely exploded.
Like, this thing is so big, it's creating like a fucking mushroom cloud when it goes off. And since the mission was top secret and the plane was packed full of explosives, British authorities simply claimed that it was a German rocket attack, so nobody would ask any questions about it. And those were quite commonplace in the UK at the time.
Yeah. So, from what I'm understanding, at least some small part of the sort of rural blitz campaign was just the poor inhabitants of these small bumfuck towns in England having to endure just explosive planes falling out around the side and going, what was that? And someone going, it was a German, shut up.
Yeah, and the government's just like, sometimes barns just do that.
It wasn't an explosion, it was a weather event.
Barns only do that when they're extremely stressed. Are you sure you're shearing the sheep correctly?
Yeah, if you don't shear the sheep regularly, they do just explode with the force of 12,000 pounds of Torpex.
Why is this really fine red rain falling on me in this one particular spot? Whose is that parachute that's been shredded to pieces that's also covered in red rain?
With one plane down, it was time to get testing again.
Great.
So the next baby takes off with its crew aboard. As soon as they do, something goes terribly, terribly wrong.
Mm-hmm.
The pilot doesn't even have time to get to altitude before he loses control. Like, this was even a failure of the radio controls, right? It was just the plane failed.
That was the 26th flight, 26th mission.
The engineer manages to bail out, but the plane plummets to Earth and explodes, killing the pilot.
I hope that the mothership just has like one of those little tags on the back that just says baby on board.
Yeah, you gotta slap a
so
bumper
the other
sticker on
pilots
each one.
know.
Since this is the 1940s and they're flying a bomb with the shittiest radio controls in the world, and it's a top secret program, absolutely nobody is sure what caused the baby to lose control. The Army just shrugged and loaded up another one.
Yeah, I can't get over like the idea of like a baby on board tag, but also like in the milieu of American bumper stickers is like, in this plane, we kneel for the cross and stand for the flag. And then it's just like a giant decal of a Thompson submachine gun on the side.
I like the idea of it's one of those very American bumper stickers I've never seen anywhere else. But it's like one big plane to show like the parent and like several tiny planes to show the babies.
Yes.
The third flight also crashed and killed the pilot.
We're gonna get it. Don't worry.
This time it was after the engineer had bailed out and the pilot turned the remote control system on. Virtually as soon as the plane switched systems, it just dived directly towards the ground like a fucking meteor, trapping him inside, because like he's supposed to jump out of the now open canopy, but it's diving so fast that he cannot get out.
World is a fuck. One dead pilot, a million dead planes.
That's a hell of a way to go.
The Army, looking at a second smoking crater with a corpse inside, waved over another pilot.
They're just like poking the corpse of the pilot with a stick. It's like, yeah, he didn't get through it.
So this was in the UK as well.
These are all crashing in the UK.
Yeah, so I love the idea that you get a British major coming over to going, a damn shame, I tell you that. Anyway, load up another yank. Get him on.
We'll get this to work no matter how many yanks die in the process.
I don't care how many yanks we have to spend.
Send in another one of those fly boys. There's a real methodological failure in that, like, these planes keep crashing and stuff keeps going wrong, but they cannot learn from the mistakes because they keep killing the pilots as well.
And also because they're crashing into the ground with so much speed and force. There's no way to like autopsy the flight. Like, oh, yep, it crashed. What made it crash? Oh, pilot maybe?
Mission assessment, shit's fucked.
No, I'm neither a technician nor an engineer or anyone with those kind of skills, but I just can't help but feel as though there must have been some way that you could troubleshoot before the plane was in the sky with 2 human lives on board.
I don't think so.
That's where I disagree with you. Mostly just because I hate the concept of flight.
Yeah, fair enough.
If we get rid of more pilots, we'll get rid of the idea of flight. Soon we'll be a ship-based people once
load
more.
Up the Yanks.
Once again, Armenians meant to be on the ground.
Yeah. The next few tests actually went well enough, and by that I mean nobody died, and they didn't almost blow up a British village. So the system was tabbed for an active operation. In the beginning of August 1944, flights of babies and motherships were dispatched to attack a Nazi U-boat base in France, loaded up with hundreds of firebombs and nearly 1,000 gallons of napalm. The first baby took off, the crew switched over to remote control, safely bailed out, and then the baby lost connection and crashed into the sea. The next took off, immediately ran into control problems, which left the crew on board.
Okay.
The pilots fought for control of the dying aircraft and circled in the air above Ipswich. People were terrified that they're about to wipe the fucking town off of the map because, just to be clear here, it absolutely would have been.
Yep.
We're creating a crater in Midlands, England.
But the pilot managed to get enough control back to aim it towards the sea and get the fuck out of there, saving quite possibly hundreds of lives. The next flights sent towards Germany either crashed on their own or were shot down before the motherships could guide them onto their targets, with one pilot killed because when he bailed out, his chute didn't open and he went splat into the British countryside. So not only are we dropping planes on British villages, we're also just dropping dudes.
I'm sure this would have been fantastic for morale for the entire unit of soldiers who were tasked with like being part of this operation. Because so far there's an attrition rate of 100%.
Not everybody has died.
Okay. Just some severely maimed.
I would say it's like, 30%, which is still very high.
Yeah, you'll die, or you can end up like the guy from the one video for Metallica.
I do like the idea, if you've ever seen the film Dogma, it's like, dudes like me just don't follow the sky, But it's happening in a British village and a pilot just goes cratering through your barn.
James Hetfield's just like, airplanes have taken my legs, taken my arms.
I'm picturing just some poor...
Now the plane is done with this one. Oh, Patton, please help me.
We're getting a Morse code message through from the plane. What's it saying? It just says kill me. Over and over and over again. I'm just picturing some poor couple just minding their business walking through the street and having a pilot just goes smack into the ground, like directly in front of them, and then some British military propaganda is still trying to keep the secret.
It was a German missile. Shut up.
I told you they're getting tired. Jerry started dressing his men up in American uniforms and throwing them from the sky to signal their surrender.
This is what they don't really tell you about the foundations for the Keep Calm and Carry On campaign.
Yeah, right.
Keep calm, carry on. Please step over the flying corpse.
That's an albatross. What?
Keep an eye out. The Germans falling from the sky.
With all the failures and dead bodies beginning to pile up, the U.S. Army Air Corps finally put a pause on the program to try to work out the kinks. But that did not mean the project was dead.
It seems like their kink was killing pilots.
I mean, that's my kink.
Stop believing.
Keep on killing all those flyers.
That's because there are actually two different programs trying to do the same thing. One for the Army, Operation Aphrodite, and the other one for the Navy, Operation Anvil. The operational name would go on to be reused again into what would be called Operation Dragoon, but Operation Anvil in this context means the drone program.
Anvil, like a thing famously known for flying.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe it should have been Operation Hammer because they're going to crash repeatedly into the anvil.
I mean, to be fair, it's pretty accurate with depictions of like anvils from, Acme cartoons of
That's true.
Between them being dropped on Wile E. Coyote and all these pilots being like smashed to death by like a hulking plane. It kind of works.
Our head engineer, fucking the Roadrunner.
Hitler's just the Roadrunner. The plane crashes and he just pops up over a hill and just goes, meep, meep.
This is basic project management and just managing expectations. You name it Project Anvil. As long as that plane behaves in the sky to the floor in any way that is remotely an improvement upon dropping an anvil from the sky, it's a success.
Yep. Sometimes the plane just does that.
The only way is up or down.
Yeah, sometimes the only way is down because there's no landing this fucking things.
The only way is up and then down.
Functionally, these programs were the same, though the Navy had a slightly different remote control scheme, and it's not really important for our story here. And since it was being run by the Navy, they used planes that they had lying around, which happened to be mostly the B-24 Liberator. The Navy was absolutely certain that their program was different and better, and decided to aim it towards an important target in order to prove their point. That target was the V-3 program. Now, most people are aware of the Vengeance rockets. That's what the V stands for, the Nazi rocket program. But the V didn't actually mean rocket. It just meant vengeance weapon. And the V3 wasn't a rocket at all. Rather, it was a massive multi-stage, multi-chamber, smoothbore cannon that fired a fin-stabilized projectile with the goal of shelling London from northern France.
Yeah, I read a really famous book written by a New York recluse about this.
The cannon was massive and needed to be built at a grade into the ground in a series of tunnels. And the idea was that eventually this whole facility would have a whole battery of these cannons pointed towards London and be able to drop hundreds of shells per hour into the city. Obviously, this never happens. So the Navy selected their volunteers from their program, and one of them might be someone that some people may have heard of. Engineer Wilford J. Willey. No, actually, not that one. Pilot Joseph Kennedy Jr.
Yes, a man famous for being very good at flying planes.
Sound that klaxon. It's the Kennedy klaxon.
Well, weirdly enough, the Kennedy klaxon does sound like a gunshot.
Well,
the Kennedy klaxon has two sounds, gunshot and plane crash.
So what happened in the book depository? Someone turned to Lee Harvey Oswald and went, "Oh my God, it's JFK. Sound the klaxon." He went, "You got it, boss." Oh shit.
Wrong one. Shit.
Fuck. Bail out.
Joseph Kennedy was the oldest of the Kennedy boys. Like JFK is his next youngest brother. Joseph had been the one being groomed for a political future. Shit, when he was born, his grandfather, who was mayor of Boston at the time, declared to journalists that his grandson was going to be the future president of the United States. I mean, to be fair, he was right, just not in the way that he thought he would be.
But it's great, with the naming convention of the family is like JFK is going to be president. One of them, dies, then, you got another one.
Joseph Kennedy Jr. was also a huge fan of one Adolf Hitler, as was his father. Joseph's father was a huge fan of Father Charles Coughlin, a virulent anti-Semite, far-right Catholic American nationalist. At least at first. Kennedy eventually turned against Coughlin when Coughlin accused FDR of being a communist, but not for any of the other stuff that Coughlin stood for, which is kind of ironic because Joseph Sr. would eventually turn against FDR for standing with the UK in the war against the Nazis. Joseph's father then became ambassador to the UK and held countless unauthorized meetings with his Nazi counterparts, where he expressed support for what they were doing prior to the war and said that America would support the Nazis too, but unfortunately FDR had simply fallen under the spell of Jewish influence.
I believe the people of the UK should side with the Nazis.
He hung out with an intensely pro-Nazi circle of the British aristocracy, which admittedly is just almost the whole thing.
It's like him, Roald Dahl.
It's just redundant. Just say the royal
king.
family.
The king.
When the war started, Joseph was vocally against it and kept trying to organize unauthorized meetings personally with Adolf Hitler to try to bring the US and Germany closer together.
Imagine getting left on red by Hitler.
His meetings eventually leaked back into the US media, and he again, of course, blamed the Jews for this.
Can't get a text back because of the Jews. There's definitely dudes who are posting shit like that as like, oh, I'm getting left on red mogged by some Foyd because of the Jews.
I mean, that's effectively the whole male loneliness epidemic excuse, right? He eventually resigned, but publicly remained a supporter of FDR due to previous agreements the two had in exchange for Kennedy using his influence to get FDR elected. FDR would then in turn support Joseph Jr. in his assumed future political career. Joseph Jr. had a lot of the same beliefs as his father. He had traveled to Germany in 1934 and absolutely loved it. Or as he put it, quote, the need of a common enemy, someone of whom to make the goat, someone by whose riddance the Germans would feel they had cast out their cause of their predicament. It was excellent psychology, and it was too bad that they had done it to the Jews. The dislike of the Jews, however, was well-founded. They were at the heads of all the big businesses and law, etc. It is to their credit for them to get so far, but their methods have been quite unscrupulous. The lawyers and the prominent judges were all Jews, and if you had a case against a Jew, you were almost certain to lose it. As far as the brutality is concerned, it must have been necessary to use some.
The Irish should have never become white.
Yeah, this is like just one of those situations where, you know, you have to understand that not everybody knew what was going on in the Third Reich, and not everyone knew what they were really up to. And then you just get a quote like that in which an individual very highly placed in the American establishment is sort of to the letter, sort of perfectly like analyzing and diagnosing both like the political program and the prognosis for this solution.
Yeah, we need to make the greater Massachusetts area all Judenfrei.
He loved the Nazi sterilization program too. He wrote about it saying, quote, it's a great thing. It'll do away with many of the disgusting specimens of men. So quite literally what you were saying, Greg, is like everyone's like, well, they didn't know everything the Nazis were doing. Meanwhile, Joseph Kennedy Jr. is like, no, I've seen what they're doing. It rocks.
No, he read Jonathan Swift and he was like, oh, this is actually a really good idea.
Yeah, one of the kind of like pithy remarks that I often make lately with regards to sort of institutional both Islamophobia and increasingly transphobia in like the United States and the UK is that like the primary lesson that a lot of these sort of liberal intelligentsia and ruling class learned from the 20th century with regards to fascism and the Third Reich was good system, wrong target.
Yeah.
And, you know, that always feels a bit glib when I say that. And then you hear a comment from Joseph Kennedy Jr. saying, everything they're doing is absolutely bang on. It's just unfortunate they're doing to the Jews. But I do kind of agree with that also.
Joseph Kennedy Jr. is in the background just going, lads, 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 lads.
Chug, chug, chug.
After the Night of the Broken Glass, Joseph wrote to another American Nazi supporter, Charles Lindbergh, saying that he was concerned, not about the street violence, but how bad the violence looked, which is quite ironic because that's what a lot of people within the Nazi government thought as well, which is, you know, why it evolved into what it was. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of people both in the US and the UK who definitely agreed with a lot of what the Nazis were doing. When the war started, he dropped out of university at Harvard and was commissioned into the Navy as a pilot to fight in the war. It's one of those like strange things that happened during pretty much every world war, every large scale war in general, and even really anything that gives like a little veneer of like adventurism and daring do is like, no, like I actually quite like the people we're going to go fight, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to go do it because it seems fun.
I'm choosing to believe that it was actually an alternative thing where what happened was people were going, you know what, this guy's such an insufferable prick. Can we please put him on one of those babies?
No,
put him on the baby.
Let's take a third way revanchist position, and that like we need to bring this back, this sort of rhetoric, because, you know, woke university students now would not get on the death plane to fight the Nazis.
Well, that's the thing is he didn't start off on the death plane. Like he completed his regulation 25 combat flights over the next couple years. Mm-hmm. The way it worked back then is that pilot casualty rates were so high that they had a combat mission number that when they reached it, sometimes that number moved up, sometimes it moved down. They could just get out of the military or take another assignment.
Hey, listen, look, all you can say is that Joseph Jr. had a more successful flight record than JFK Jr.
I mean, the Kennedys, it's a low bar, but you are correct.
Yeah, you need to stay away from guns and planes.
And also the Department of Health.
Yeah, I'm now constructing an alternative theory of the Kennedy curse, which is that they basically saw this first guy that was a massive Nazi and such bad vibes. They were like, there's only one solution for this. We need to eradicate your entire bloodline.
Maybe RFK Jr. is kind of like the Emperor of Man, in that like all the other Kennedys need to be sacrificed in order to funnel like power into him, like psychers being sacrificed to the Emperor.
I mean, thankfully, he'll take human sacrifice, but also just any random roadkill that they find.
Yeah, like he'll do cocaine off the toilet seat.
Yep, he sure will. He'll also share your steroid dealer.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like I said, he finishes his Regulation 25 combat flights and then volunteers to join Operation Anvil in the Navy. So with that, let's go back to the U.S. Navy's first active operational baby flight, which sounds like it could be a lot of different things, to be completely honest. Kennedy and Willie took off in their plane, which had the wonderful name Zoot Suit Black.
Oh my God. I hate America so much for a myriad of reasons, but shit like this constantly.
Just imagine the whole plane wearing a zoot suit.
It's the baggiest suit on a plane. That's why they kept crashing, because the fucking shirt sleeves
They just got
kept getting caught in the turbines.
Bad for aerodynamics.
Yeah.
Instead of a pin-up being painted on the nose, they just have like a really, really good portrait of Dizzy Gillespie on the front.
It's playing Scar 3 decades too soon. What the fuck is that?
It might not be for you, but your kids will hate it too.
I will defend Scar. Fuck you.
You would. Now, obviously, their flight, like I said, was targeting the V3 program. Behind them were 3 other planes, a recon plane whose job was to record the entire operation, a navigator plane, and the mothership. At first, everything went according to plan. Kennedy brought the plane to the altitude it required and engaged the remote control system. As was procedure, they remained on board as the system took over. This also worked, seemingly flawlessly. Kennedy and Willie then went to go back and arm the bomb so they could then bail out of their designated bailout point over Kent. Kennedy radioed the code word for the bomb being armed, which was Spade Flush, and the plane immediately exploded in the air.
But the alternative is like the plane could have crashed into like Tunbridge Wells, and it was like, you fucking cunt, what are you doing crashing your plane in my front garden?
He went to the back of the plane and went, hold on a minute, this is really weird. What's this book depository doing at the back of the plane?
I mean, to be fair,
What are you aiming for?
if it did crash in Kent, you know all the metal would be stripped from that wreckage within about 3 seconds.
Yeah, listen, I'll have it.
It all goes back
to
to nature. Obviously, this explosion kills them both instantly.
a Kennedy?
And don't forget Engineer Willie.
Yeah, Willie.
So listen,
Nobody ever remembers Engineer Willie.
Like all the headlines, just like Willie dead. Like tiny text at the
Willie,
bottom.
won't he?
Kennedy also killed. Don't worry, you'll get used to it.
Yeah, I mean, like much like JFK's head, sometimes planes just do that.
Exactly. Burning debris rains down the village of Blyberg, damaging 50 buildings and starting several fires.
You can't say the people of Blyberg don't hate you, Mr. Kennedy.
They certainly didn't blame Willie.
Yeah.
Nobody ever blames Willie.
Nine, not Willie.
9, they have killed Willie.
The explosion was so powerful it nearly blew the recon plane that was following it out of the air and injured one of the men on board and forced them to make an emergency landing in a nearby field.
If this was a much more covered story, we could have had an alternative version of the song from Inside Llewyn Davis. It's like, please, Mr. Kennedy, I don't want to, please don't shoot me into outer Kent. I said, please.
That's what to be clear. Was this plane, do you know what explosives were laden on this plane? Was this one napalm?
No, this one was pure Torpex.
Okay, fantastic.
Which is why it went big
either way,
boom.
it would be horrific. But the idea of like watching it, like seeing just 2 of your colleagues just like explode in a fireball that then raised down on the floor.
Maybe the planes keep exploding because the Torpex has reached sentience and is like, I'm not in water, fuck this.
I hate the air. I'm taking you down with me, Mr. Kennedy.
They didn't check the Torpex's full label and see that its surname was Oswald.
But this is where I get to tell you, wait, it gets worse.
Oh, good.
The mission they were going on to attack the V3 program was actually completely pointless from the very beginning.
Not like the US military.
That's because on July 6th, 1944, acting on intel passed to them by the French resistance, the Royal Air Force bombed the hell out of the V3 site with their infamous tall boy earthquake bombs.
Using regular planes?
Yeah, regular ass planes.
Fucking easy
Special
mode,
bombs,
yeah.
but you know.
America just like heard that and went, gay?
Yes.
What if we threw a Kennedy at it?
Yeah, so you completed the mission, like using, well, it's not impressive, is it?
And no one died.
We've killed dozens of Kennedys, and we're going to do more.
We have vats of Kennedys growing in the lab.
Go back to the Boston laboratories, pull a few more out of the goo.
They're just like, I remember a guy I used to know who trained to be a doctor in the like, I think late 60s. And he explained to me like the cadaver pool where like you learn about cadavers and just like, yeah, it's just like a pool of cadavers and you just got like a hook and like pulled one out.
Yeah, you gotta go fishing. The Royal Air Force bombing mission rendered the cannon site, which was already under construction, totally worthless. It was abandoned and never restarted again.
Good for them.
That meant there's absolutely no reason for the Kennedy mission to go ahead, but the Royal Air Force never told the Navy or the Army Air Corps, so they had no idea. So, therefore, dead Kennedy, no good reason for it.
No, I think there's a good reason. I think Joseph Sr. knew this was going to fail and he was like, put my boy on the plane because he knew it would sharpen John. Steel sharpens steel. He will be steeled in his reserve by the death of his brother, and he will become the top shagger president.
Sort of Bo Biden, Hunter Biden situation.
JFK got pretty grievously wounded in World War II.
Yeah.
I don't know if the theory pans out.
No, or maybe Joseph was like, we'll send them both to war. One of them will at least survive.
Yeah. Odds are we'll get one back.
But it did wonders for Hunter Biden, but also you have to remember that, JFK himself also, sharp as a tack.
Yeah, it's like,
no
listen.
issues with drug abuse or anything like that. Like real.
Nope. The Navy launched an investigation into the incident, and then, like all the other ones, just kind of shrugged.
Yeah, it's just a Kennedy. Don't worry. You gotta get used to it.
Here, listen, they're Irish, but they have lots more.
The whole program is full of so many problems. The only thing they could come up with was, well, the crew probably didn't fuck up and cause the explosion. The bomb was rigged wrong, or the electrics were wrong. Something was wrong, but the crew didn't do it.
Blame the Irishman. We know this one.
Blame Willie.
Yeah.
And then there are some stories about how the Navy covered up Kennedy's death, which isn't entirely true. They did cover up how he died for at least a year, but the real reason for that isn't because he was a Kennedy. It's because he was involved in a secret program. They didn't tell anybody else how the other pilots died either.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this like prequel to the Zapruder tape.
No, dude, when we were in the sky, I looked out the window and I swear, dog, they'll tell you it wasn't there, but I saw a grassy knoll, dog, right up there.
I mean,
flying
to be fair,
grassy knoll.
There is technically a Zapruder film of this Kennedy dying too.
Oh, for goodness sake.
Not a lot of people knew about Zapruder's early work.
I'm sick of these Kennedys and their Zapruder films.
It's like the people who's like, oh, you've seen like a serious man. It's like, oh, you don't know the real shit. You haven't watched Barton Fink.
As far as we know, like all that happened was that like the entire Kennedy family had a congenital allergy to cameras.
Yes, that's the theory I'm going with from now on.
This is like kind of obscured the real details of what happened to the point that there is some sort of confusion on what mission he actually died on. With some sources saying he died while targeting a U-boat pen on a mission that actually took place about a week before he really died.
Mm-hmm.
However, official documents, dispatches from Doolittle, and the book Kennedy's at War points out that he died on August 12th, 1944, which is the day of the V3 mission.
Like, maybe, and this is like a wild swing, is maybe the Kennedys are the first like proper example of spontaneous human combustion, and it's because Joseph Sr. made a deal with Satan that one of his sons would be president.
Yeah, why not? He really liked Hitler. That's a good enough reason for him to explode.
A truly Faustian bargain is like, one of my offspring will be president, and Satan just goes, yes, but not for long.
I mean,
all the other children will die in increasingly comedic ways.
I just think it has to be absolutely humiliating posthumously to have a thing where sort of anybody who talks about you is like, no, he was really great. He was a war hero and fought and died for our country. And you go, what was he doing? I don't know. We don't know.
This is where things get kind of weird. There's another strange wrinkle to this whole story, which brings us to a different American family, the Roosevelts.
I thought it was going to be like Big Edie and Little Edie. We're getting into Grey Gardens next.
Elliot Roosevelt, FDR's son, was a colonel in the army, and he claimed to have been in the recon plane filming the Kennedy mission.
Take that, you bitch. This camera's going to take you down.
But that's the thing.
Hold on, I've got a bead on him.
He said this for years, but there's no evidence he was ever there at all. Like, he was not involved in this whatsoever. So we got an exploded Kennedy and a Roosevelt stolen valor situation
we
in
got
the same
precursor
mission.
to the Delta Force guys that claim they killed Bin Laden.
Yeah,
Except
exactly.
There's a bunch of Roosevelts being like, no, I killed Kennedy with my camera.
Now, put some respect on that psycho.
Yeah.
He was a SEAL.
Okay.
It's like, you know, when rappers film them and their crew jumping other rappers.
Yeah. Like, this is called evidence.
Stomp on his head.
But like, Elliot Roosevelt was not there. This lie went on 4 years.
Such a strange thing to lie about.
Yeah, why lie about it? He was a colonel. Like, he was doing actual work. Like, weirdly, Roosevelt's kids were actually like pretty competent at their job, but then he had to just like, by the way, I was there when Kennedy died.
Yeah, but also, again, you're just way ahead of the mark. Give it 2 decades and be like, I was there when Kennedy died. Fucking barn burner.
Yeah,
Kill
like,
at any part. No one gives a shit about this one.
that is absolutely like a drunken lie you would tell a woman that you're trying to sleep with at a bar. It's like,
Yes.
I know Kennedy, I was there when he died. And she just
I
goes,
recorded him exploding.
she's like, which one?
Don't worry about it.
It's like, no, I was there at the like lesser known one.
I was at the Velvet Underground of Kennedy killings.
The Oystersend and Neubauten of Kennedy deaths.
You've probably never heard of him, Joseph Kennedy Jr. Like, everybody's so popular with the I was there when JFK got killed. But y'all motherfuckers haven't even heard of Joseph Kennedy exploding.
Or even like those people who are like, oh, you know, when Robert died, and it's like, oh, I was so upset. It's like, no, I was there when the real shit. A real hero for this country. Civil rights, who cares about that? This man was going to bomb the Nazis.
And he bombed himself. So technically, he did bomb the Nazis.
And to be fair, if you are like...
actually, that's unfair. I don't know if Willie was a Nazi. He bombed precisely one Nazi.
But if you were like in the milieu that like the Kennedys and the Roosevelts were like moving in, most of those people probably did not like the civil rights movement either.
No. FDR is about as good as it got, which...
The other thing as well is that this is like classic lying guy behavior where like you're lying, but the thing with lying guys is that they always overcook it. And like, the thing with like the JFK assassination is, you know, like unless you were there in Dallas at the time, like the only way you would have heard about it is on the radio. You wouldn't have seen it and, you know, people heard it being announced on the radio. And this is a guy being like, that's nothing. 2 decades ago, I was there and I saw the other Kennedy getting killed. Not only that, I was there and I filmed it with my camera. And you're just like, you're full of shit, man.
And like he lied in a way that's so easily disprovable because like the military keeps paperwork on who's on every flight. Like, bro, you're not on this
and
one.
It's like that. It's the pure Simpsons like, can I see it? No.
There were several other attempts to make this stupid program work too, but every single mission ended in failure. It killed several more pilots, including a guy who tried to bail out but got strangled by his own static line parachute when he jumped.
Oh.
So, you know, they added a wind chime to the plane. Another wonderful fuck up happened in October, same year, when a flight of babies targeted some Nazi U-boat pens in Germany. Their weather was terrible, but the mission went ahead anyway. And when it became clear that the weather was so bad they couldn't even find their target, they tried to guide the babies towards Berlin just to hit something, right? But they lost control of them. One of the babies crashed into the sea, which seems like they love doing, after running out of fuel. But another one just kept going, independent of any control, flying
Genie,
all the way over Germany, crossing into Sweden, and crashed and exploded outside this town of Trollhättan.
Sorry, just to be clear, Joe, which plane models were being used for these missions?
It was a B-17 and a B-24 mostly.
Just for, you know, for an individual like me who's not as well versed in sort of, you know, military technology, give me a kind of comparative of like the size of these planes.
For World War II, they're quite big.
This sounds hellish.
Like the B-17 is like when you close your eyes and think of a World War II bomber, you're probably thinking of the B-17.
This sounds like an absolutely hellish situation for anybody not directly involved to see like planes just like kamikaze like crashing into the sky, intentionally or not. This
Especially when you happen to be in Sweden of all places.
Yeah, this sounds like an absolutely hellish way to both like wage warfare and experience it as like an innocent non-combatant on the ground.
Thankfully, it was very successful.
Oh, that's good.
There was another mission with the delightfully named plane, the Stump Jumper.
Yes.
Which just sounds like something someone on the internet would call my mom. This flight also failed. The Stump Jumper jumped to no stumps.
Oh, boo.
Rather than being officially canceled, Aphrodite and Anvil just kind of petered out. Army and Navy teams went back to the drawing board trying to fix the mess, while planners and commanders kept trying to figure out just the right target for their big dumb babies. But as the war began to shift undeniably in the favor of the Allies, and just normal-ass bombing did more and more damage, and because of air superiority, fewer pilots died, the further use of the babies got kicked down the road as just being largely unnecessary.
I do love the idea of like the whole time they're doing this, like the British Air Force are just doing regular bombing campaigns, just sort of like racking up wins, and then
so is the United States. Is the thing.
Enough. Like, I imagine them like flying, but like, fuck are you guys doing?
Well, that's like the weird thing of the U.S. bombing campaigns were like fucking catastrophically successful by the definition of success of the day.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they were losing so many pilots. So it's like, what if we could do this without killing pilots? Because the pilots are kind of hard to train. But then after a while, you stop losing so many pilots. Like, okay, we don't need to use a giant radio-controlled flying monstrosity.
Yeah, but like we got so many more Kennedys we have to kill.
They stopped while they were ahead. And also JFK wasn't a pilot, so they couldn't use him.
I mean, but
he was in the Navy.
That's why JFK got shot, is because they couldn't get him in this program. So eventually they had to get Lee Harvey Oswald to Russia to be programmed, to come back and then kill him and then get Jack Ruby, who isn't a gemstone.
Thank you. I think that by this method of madness, JFK would technically have to be killed by a boat because he was on a PT boat in World War II.
Yeah,
radio-controlled boat. Get killed, yeah, whatever.
The problem they're coming up to basically is that, as you said, like pilots are very hard to train, and what they need is the kind of caliber of pilot who's valuable enough to put in a plane, but not so valuable that you're going to be sad if you lose them. But unfortunately, they hadn't perfected the McCain yet.
That's one of the problems with this program is like the pilots volunteering for it had largely finished all their missions anyway.
Just imagine some really dog shit pilot and they're like, oh yeah, you're perfect.
No, so on McCain, I don't know if I said it on the show, is when I was in Hanoi weeks ago, I was crossing over a bridge to go to a temple, and I was walking back and I spotted this statue. I was like, what the fuck is this? And all of the writing in it is in Vietnamese, but there's like a little sign next to it, and I read it and I was like, there's a monument on this bridge to John McCain getting downed.
Yep.
And it's like so cool. I was like, imagine you fucked up so bad that an entire nation decides to build a monument to your fuck up.
I mean, it's a bit of a retroactive flex because he became famous after he was shot down.
Yeah.
Which is why that memorial becomes important. Just like if he never gets elected or does anything, just like, he's just another pilot that got shot down.
I seem to remember hearing that there was even a thing where John McCain visited that memorial or something like it, believing that it was a statue that had been erected as a tribute to him. And like, yeah, I don't know. Have to check, have a Google. I could be wrong, I'm an idiot, but I'm pretty sure there was a whole story where like he went and it was like, no, we're making fun of you, dude. There may even be photos of him with the statue.
So the project was eventually approved for further use in April of 1945, but then, the war eventually ended shortly thereafter and stopped even more pilots from dying in acme-ass ways and stripped down, busted up planes over England and Germany. One Kennedy down. The end.
One Kennedy down.
We're coming for the rest of you fuckers.
50
don't you
to
worry.
Go.
Well.
I've got a plane with your name on it.
Everybody just trying to coax Kennedys into the drone plane. Don't ask why.
I have a thing with RFK where every single time I try and do an impression of him, I just end up going...
I'm not an impressions guy, but I feel like if I did that, my throat would just hurt. But yeah, that is Operation Aphrodite and the fate of one very fascist-friendly Kennedy in a ball of fire. But fellas, we do a thing on this show called Questions from the Legion. If you'd like to ask us a question, you can support the show on Patreon. You get access to the Discord, which has a channel for this kind of thing. You can ask us on Patreon. You can put it in a radio-controlled plane and blow it up somewhere over the UK, and we will answer it on the air. That was a joke for anybody that's listening.
Yeah, don't do that.
Don't do that. That's frowned upon. It doesn't just get covered up as a state secret anymore. So today's question from the Legion is, if you could nuke one fast food franchise out of existence, what would it be?
Would be Leon, which is a very UK. It's like...
Never had it.
So it's fast food, but it's meant to be like healthy. So you can get like a chicken breast burger that has barely any flavor on it and some waffle fries. It's like a Protestant McDonald's pretty much.
Okay. I kind of assumed McDonald's was Protestant McDonald's.
No, that's multi-faith, unless you are Palestinian. Greg, what's your answer?
I'm going to have to say Subway, primarily because...
No. Yeah. I'll defend Subway.
Okay. Subway is trash. So I'm 100% with Greg on this one.
First of all, like, Subway is trash. Second of all, I feel like
And I should point out here, we need to pick out what we're nuking based on the flavor and the restaurant itself.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I'm still picking Subway.
Okay, so no, I have reasons for that with Subway. Like, yeah, the food is trash, but then also, like, I feel like particularly in like cities like London and other big cities where you used to have like a sort of thriving sort of independent deli sandwich chains, I feel like Subway was one of the companies in the early 2000s, along with other like cafe chains, that like basically killed that off and replaced us with like just sort of dead chain cafes everywhere. And thirdly,
Costa
and
Cafe.
I mean this absolutely fucking seriously, like Subway have not paid for the crimes that they are responsible with relation to Subway Jared.
Yeah.
I'm not even fucking kidding. It's absolutely outrageous.
I completely forgot about that. Yeah, I was picking Subway based on the fact that their sandwiches suck, but there's also that too.
Yeah.
Also, a thing with Subway is that they got brought to court because their bread had so much sugar in it that it didn't technically count as bread.
I mean, I assume this is not a lawsuit that happened in the United States.
No, it happened in the UK.
I remember when like Subway used to be passable, and then they like everything's getting progressively worse, but Subway like was ahead of the curve on that one. I really fucking hate Subway, so I'm a toss up between Subway and mostly Subway, and I can't think of another one that I hate. Like I don't really eat fast food. I like Arby's, and it's a regional delight.
But yeah, like I was like, honestly, anybody, if you've actually looked into this whole Subway Jared story, like I know everyone knows, like
the truth is out there.
No, I know everyone knows the basic story that they had this mascot and it was a pedophile, but it was a scandal like as sort of evil as like the BBC Jimmy Savile scandal, where like they all knew what was going on. They assisted him, and they're like, no, we have to protect Jared. Look at him, he's so valuable.
Protect Jared at all costs.
No, like absolutely disgusting.
He needs to stand out there holding a big pair of pants.
Oh, a London one I will say, but actually kind of UK in general is like Nuke Pret from space. I hate their coffee. When I moved to this country, they had the subscription where you pay 20 quid a month and you could get like 5 coffees a day. And that's
a pretty sweet deal.
But this was the summer when like it was like 40 degrees one day, and every single Pret did not carry ice, and they were like, oh, sorry, no ice drinks today. Do you want like a room temperature iced latte with no ice?
That's just shitty coffee.
That's homophobic.
Yeah, you're right, Tom. That's worse than the Subway story.
Yeah.
I've never gotten coffee at a Pret, and I've only gone to a Pret at airports.
Do you want a sandwich that is 90% spinach?
Oh, I like spinach though. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, Tom.
I've seen you run on a treadmill. You're like a horse.
That's why I hate them so much. There can be only one. But I believe that's a podcast, fellas. You host other podcasts. Plug those other podcasts.
Beneath Skin, the show about the history of everything told through the history of tattooing, and I am the producer of a show called Bloodwork with this wonderful man sitting beside me.
Hello. Listen to Bloodwork, a podcast about the economy of violence. Once again, my name is Gregory Foley. I'm the host. I've been doing it with Tom for about 6 months now. We've had a really good fun. We've got a lot of really quite interesting and exciting episodes that are lined up to come out in sort of June into July. So
if you would like to hear a story about a load of flat-nosed geezers who recruited a neo-Nazi wizard, check out our Patreon.
Yeah, the history of Combat 18 with Gareth Watkins. It's we've just come back with part 3, and it's heating up, which is to say it's getting even dumber, and they're about to pull the screwdrivers out. So tune in.
Or alternatively, you can listen to our 4-part series on the history of the AK-47.
This is no longer the only show that I host. I also host the unnamed, untitled Warhammer podcast over on iHeartRadio with Robert Evans. But this show has a Patreon. Consider supporting the show on Patreon. It makes everything we do possible. It's an independent show. We have no ads, no marketing. Only you guys. So support us. Get years and years of bonus content every episode early. Leave us a review and wherever it is you listen to podcasts. Buy my book, The Highlands Burn, out now on paperback, ebook, and audiobook. Read by me, in case you're not sick of my voice. Until next time, crawl into a plane and then jump out of it and die.
Yeah, go Kennedy yourself.
Yeah.